Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. This is for entertainment purposes only, so if you're entertained, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. So, there's been a lot of moving parts, and honestly, I'm a little stressed about this whole getting laid off thing and all of the unknowns, but I have started to implement the plan with the assumption that it's going to take me at least a few months to find a new job, just based off of past experience. I have never had to try to find a job while there's a recession in the sector that I work in. Like, the tech sector in general is not having a good time. And I also have not been looking forward to preparing for the interview process because it's like the 5 stages of grief. Like, you go in, you think that you're doing amazing, that your current work doesn't pay you enough, and you deserve more respect. And then you go through a few interviews, you get a few rejections, and then the doubts and all of the, am I good enough? And then desperation cuts in. And then we get better at the interviewing and answering the questions. It becomes more natural. And then finally, your pitch and you hit the stars and everything aligns and you get a job offer. And usually, at least in my experience, you wind up with a few at the same time. It's like cogs in the wheel, and at the very end it goes really well, and then I choose a job. But I wasn't I don't want to, but it would help with the whole anxiety about having enough money and shuffling money around and just having enough of it in general. But I'm just trying to get my portfolio to a place where even if it takes me until the new year and I don't sell my at this point, I'm probably going to be in a better financial situation if I don't sell my condo than if I do in the short term. But I think for me, if I didn't own this condo, I would be much less stressed because everything else is a known factor that I can use in the equation and figure out what I'm going to do. But with the condo, I don't know when, I don't know how much, and if between now and then we have a special assessment, it could be quite a bit that I owe. So, or something else breaks, I just really need to not own that condo anymore. And no, I am not going to pass up any opportunity to complain about it because it's been ridiculous. So hopefully the tenant still has not come back to us to say he's accepting the offer or not. So maybe he won't do it, and then maybe because the treasury bills spiked and all of that jazz, my condo might sit on the market for months, and I'm okay with that. I mostly wanted it on the market so that if I do have problems making enough money through my portfolio, that I could start pursuing a short sale, which would really, really mess up my portfolio and how I'm living. But I'm just a girl trying to make the best out of a bad situation. So, what moves have I done so far? Things that you as the commenters are going to gasp and tell me I'm doing it wrong, but I only have so much money and there's only so many ways to fit this puzzle together so that everything works. I can tell you that so far, like when I did all my projections, everything I've gone to do has had more fees and I've been able to get less money than what I assumed I could. So that's also added to the stress of this. So I'm going to start with the 401k plan at my current employer. They only do a 6%. Well, they do a 6% matching, but they only match it once per year. And you have to be employed on December 31st of that year in order to get that match. So I changed that to a 0% contribution because I'm probably not going to be at my employer come this December. And if they're not going to match it, then there's no point in putting more money in my 401k right now. And so I called the plan, and it turns out that I don't have to pay back the 10,000, well, it's 9,000, like the original loan back. They actually allow me to continue doing the payments until it's finished. So instead of converting everything to a withdrawal, and I couldn't do that until I'm officially finished with the company anyway, I just took out a second 401k loan. And that's fine because of a few reasons. One is the interest paid is actually going back into my account. The second reason is that I'm treating it like that's a return on a bond. And the third reason is it's helping me move my IRA. And so that money will wind up back in a retirement account before 60 days from now. Then I went to go do a loan on my Bitcoin. I transferred all of my Bitcoin to Coinbase, and it was $40,000, and I wanted to borrow $20,000, so that's 50% on the value. And it kept telling me that I do not have enough money, and finally it was like $15,000, and I needed $40,000 of collateral, and I was like, I don't even want to deal with it anymore. So I just sold everything, and that money is in transit over to Robinhood. So you'll see that in my account in a few days. And of course, now Bitcoin is at a new all-time high, and I'm going to miss out on this time's parabolic movement. But on the other side of that parabolic movement, we have probably a couple of years where I can get back into Bitcoin at a similar price as what I sold it to. And that's just an assumption on my part. Maybe it'll never come back down again, and I'll have regrets, but that $40,000 is going to help me right now, and it is what it is. I was also going to say I'm going to, once I have my IRAs settled, purchase like FBTC, like a spot Bitcoin ETF, not anything that has, it's not a cover call ETF, just the spot Bitcoin, and just let that grow in the IRA until I've purchased it back, and at least until I've purchased it back in a taxable account. But taxes this year are going to be kind of insane. So I would like to actually thank the people that are asking about loans from my IRA and margin, because I keep forgetting about those things. And it's not possible to take a loan from your IRA, but once per year, you can do an indirect rollover from an IRA. And how that works is when you withdraw the money, the broker keeps 20% of what you withdraw to pay for taxes in case you mess it up. But then you have 60 calendar days to deposit it into the new IRA. So I'm going to try to put it into my brokerage account, get it so that the margin, like I'm putting it into the 20.25 or the 25% margin funds, and then having enough margin buffer with the additional things I'm pulling in with the 401k and my Bitcoin, basically using that to get the dollar amount up to the original dollar amount, because now I have to come up with another 20%, or that 20% of the money, and that just goes back into the original IRA, but now it's going to be in Robinhood, and it gets an instant 3% match. So I have the money in my brokerage account, but I have a ton of margin and just a not amazing margin buffer, but it should technically be enough as long as the market doesn't absolutely crash for me to generate enough money per month, and then not even including like the original investment amount that I had, the $40,000. So I should be able to make progress on paying down that margin enough so that I don't get margin maintenance calls all of the time. So we're going to make that attempt, and I do have some other weird things that I'm doing with my finances. But I did check, and one of my credit cards, I can actually take a loan, and it's like that 12% interest rate, whatever. So if I do get a margin maintenance, I do have an option. I'm not very keen on it. Like, I don't really want to have an extra $500 expense, even if it is like 15% is like doable with high income ETFs to pay it off, but it's just one of those things where I could get it instantly, so I can do it with the margin if things get really, really rough, and do that before I try to like get taxed by taking withdrawal from an IRA. So hopefully, and then in December, if I can survive until December, between my mortgage or my condo, all the expenses from the condo, the farm expenses that I've paid for, and the fact that I put the entire IRA back into the traditional IRA, I should be getting a pretty nice refund, hopefully. And if that happens, I'll just use that to pay off my credit cards. And I've been kind of stressing about, like, what do I do with the credit cards? Because if I don't sell my condo, then my margin buffer should be much better and more manageable. But because I'll owe around $56,000 to close the deal on my condo, getting another $56,000 out of basically like squeezing the lemon and just getting like the very last few drops of spare cash, it's just it's going to be kind of stressful when I'm relying on this portfolio for money. But once I get notified that I'm going to do my severance and I can focus on YieldMight full time, then hopefully I can do cool features and get more advertising and get people on it. And maybe we can just make my own job. And it's going to be tight and stressful, but a lot of startup founders don't have a bunch of money. They have, the runway, and it's, 5-6 months or whatever. So hopefully, in either way, it'll work out for me. And if it doesn't, I will let you all know. But I'm kind of excited to be trying this and giving me something to focus on rather than just freaking out about being unemployed. Because at least this way, I know there's a lot of moving parts and it depends on a lot of things, like the entire stock market not totally crashing. But if I can pull this off, I'm definitely going to write a book about it and charge you all money, put on Gumroad and be like maxed at how to handle it. I think I went to go start explaining what I'm going to do with the credit cards because I am leaning towards just paying them off now and then figuring out how to do the $56,000 for closing my condo later. But I think I might do a 0% transfer and pay the 5% penalty and then just give myself more runway to get through the new year and then just pay my credit cards off in the new year with my tax refund. Because I just do not want to deal with like that credit card debt needs to go away, and I need to have enough money to do that. And every month that I don't sell my condo, I owe less on my mortgage, so I shouldn't need so much, but I also don't know if that $56,000 dollar amount I have right now is the final value. Is there something else going to happen to make it $60,000 or $70,000 I need to come up with? Because as that number comes up, keeps going up, the harder it's going to be to come up with the money for that. So, that's the plan so far. And let me know what you think. I know we're all very disappointed that I had to sell my Bitcoin. It's just that stuff like this, it's with money that I shouldn't have had to need if I had a job. It was money that I invested and for the long term. And the plan was to just keep it as an investment until, I'm a millionaire with the Bitcoin. But, during a recession and trying to survive, everything's fair game. So, today's song is about, I want to be a part of the 10%. And I had seen a statistic of the poorest 10% of Americans, they buy lottery tickets, but the richest 10% of Americans own 90% of the stock. So I want to be a part of the rich America that owns 90% of the stocks and not the lowest 10% that are buying lottery tickets. So, I'll talk to you later. Bye.